John Metchie balls out. Another tough decision perhaps becomes easier, and the Texans get another dub. Let's hear from DeMeco. Let's hear from CJ. Let's hear from you. It is time for the best postgame show in the land, The Locker Room on YouTube.
Yeah. It's The Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do.
All right, we got a ball game. We got a lot to talk about. Every question that we had, everything that we wanted to see, everything that we needed to see. Some people hope to see it. We saw it today, and I'll be damned. You can call it just a preseason game. I don't think it's just a preseason game. And that might not even be this most significant development that has happened. It is the Locker Room, number one source for Texans digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can see me here throughout the week. Other things popping. We got you covered here in the Locker Room. So let's talk about this Texans win in the biggest takeaways. And we'll go through the actual game. We'll hear from DeMeco. We'll hear from CJ. We'll get into the comments. But let's just start with the biggest takeaways from the game, starting with takeaway number one. CJ Stroud looked awesome. CJ Stroud looked really, really good today. And it was a short day. It was one quarter of work. They actually took him out mid-drive to start the second quarter. They brought in Case Keenum. But CJ Stroud looked good. One of his better throws didn't even count because there was a hold on Brevin Jordan. But other than that, CJ looked good. He was moving in the pocket. He threw some absolute dimes. The slant across the middle to Diggs looked like it was going to get tipped. I think most quarterbacks try to fit it in that small of an area. I think it gets tipped. You had the play in the end zone where he's getting pressured and he sets his feet and he finds Schultz for, I think it was 26 or 27 yards. The very next play after that, he throws the dime to Tank Dell. The hold brings that back. CJ Stroud looked really, really good today. A couple of the plays at the end of drive one, I don't know that they run those in the regular season. I think that was more so about giving an opportunity for the players. I don't think they're running a fade to Dalton Schultz in the preseason. They're also going to kick the field goal. So I think there's certain instances where the approach can be different in the preseason than the regular season. And I think you kind of grade that on a curve and you try to look at the gray area and you try to evaluate it accordingly. But I thought that CJ Stroud looked awesome. I thought he looked really, 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 really good. Takeaway number two, and we'll revisit this when we go through the game recap. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like, pretty please, and be sure to ride along. But takeaway number two, Jalen Pitre, he's shining in his new role. And that was one of the things that we talked about as well. We talked about three things, and all three of those things, they weren't predictions. They were just things that we would like to see. We saw those three things in some way, shape, or form. And sometimes you go through the preseason without even really getting a big grasp of what you need to see, what you want to see before the season actually starts. But Jalen Pitre looked good. He had the pick six, which credit to Derek Barnett, who, damn, he's been a hell of an in-season pickup for the Texans last year, and they brought him back this year. You can give him the assist on that. But Jalen Pitre, right near the line of scrimmage, he makes the interception. He does this thing, and he gets the pick six. And then shortly after that, I think it was the next drive, Jalen Pitre with a TFL, and then on third down, he basically gets done doggy by the right tackle and gets tackled down to the ground, no call, and Jalen Pitre kind of wreaking havoc. So we've wanted to see that. I don't think it completely eliminates safety concern, because now the question goes from, can Jalen Pitre be in a starting safety to can Jalen Pitre be a nickel guy to can Eric Murray be a starting safety? That's kind of where you're at right now, even if Petry's doing his thing. So that was good to see, though, because you got at least a glimpse of that in a game. Now, in a regular season game, there's probably a chance that the opposing coach is going to try to find him in coverage or whatever. But as of right now, Jalen Pitre, he looks comfortable in that role. Takeaway number 3, and this is just an absolute statement. This isn't an observation. Akers is better than Pierce. I think Akers is better than Pierce. Is it systematic? Maybe. Is Dameon Pierce? I threw this comparison out before. Is he just James Robinson, who has the 1,000-yard year with the Jags his rookie year, and then he kind of drifts off? Either way, it's clear that Akers is better than Dameon Pierce. And I'm not buying the excuse, he's going against the 2s and this guy's going against the 1s. It's abundantly clear, and it was clear last year when Dameon Pierce was playing with the 1s. For some reason, he's just not running the ball effectively. And he does not have the ability to pick up 3 yards when nothing's there. He does not have the ability to cut outside like Akers. And a case can almost be made when you start looking at these other running backs. And I know we've kind of been having the same conversation about Metchie, but the case can almost be made that Dameon Pierce isn't even one of the top 4 guys, because Taylor had a hell of a run today. Taylor's also covering kicks and punts, and British Brooks had a couple of touchdowns. It might just be the Lovie Smith. I don't like quoting Lovie Smith. I don't like reliving the Lovie Smith era. It wasn't my favorite era to enjoy. It was a pain in the ass to cover. It was a pain in the ass to talk about. But the one thing that he said is sometimes divorce is a good thing. I think that's the case. And maybe Dameon Pierce going somewhere else and figuring something out is what makes sense. I heard Clint Sterner talking about this on the post game as I was rolling back. He was talking to Sean Pendergast, and he said something like the only hope for the Texans to get significantly better this year as opposed to last year, or one of the biggest hopes, is they got to be able to run the football better. I don't know that you can do that with Dameon Pierce at this point. And I don't think we're going to see Dameon Pierce again. So I don't know what the Texans do. I don't know if it's trading Dameon Pierce for maybe someone on the back end of someone else's roster that's on the outside looking in. I don't know how that works, but that's going to have to be something they look at, because Cam Akers looks good. And the Achilles is the new torn ACL. It's not as big of a deal with what they've done to the surgery. And Cam Akers is just the first example of that. I thought that swarm up the likes. You tell him, Mr. High. I thought that as soon as Akers was here, I thought he was a camp body. He's not a camp body. So I really, really think that Akers right now is on the inside and Dameon Pierce is on the outside, and we'll see how they handle that whole thing. So that's takeaway 3. Takeaway 1, CJ Stroud looked awesome. Takeaway 2, Pitre, he knew the new role shined in an actual game. Akers is better. Takeaway 4, we've talked about this a lot. John Metchie shows he can play well in a game. And it's very clear that his teammates, they rally behind him. Derek Stingley, who was in his draft class, he could have had 2 interceptions today, ended up having 1. But he said it was only a matter of time, and it can come at any time with John Metchie. That's what he said. John Metchie, hell of a game for Metchie. He had the 3 catches on drive 3, capped off with the touchdown, ended up with 6 catches overall, by far his best in-game performance as a pro. And he needed it. He needed it. At this point, John Metchie was on the outside looking in. He still might be. This might be a situation where John Metchie improved his trade value. Who knows what they think about Robert Woods, and who knows what they think about Hutchinson. Hutchinson could have made more plays. It's unfortunate for him, but on the same series, I think when Metchie scored his touchdown, Hutchinson was wide open up the field for a big gain, and Case Keenum threw it behind him. Case Keenum seemed to be almost doing what the Texans needed to do, which was just targeting Metchie and getting him the rock and getting him the opportunities, because they needed this. And I thought it was really, really good to see that the Texans played him not just early in the game, but they let him go in at halftime, adjust, and come back out there. I thought that was valuable for John Metchie, and John Metchie at the very least made it very, very interesting. He is probably someone, he's not going to get too far on waivers. So if he is released, he's going to be out there. He's either on the team or someone's probably going to want to acquire him. But that's takeaway 4. Those are the 4 biggest takeaways. There is something that happened in the game that I want to get into, and I think it could be the most encouraging when it comes to what matters on the in the big picture and in big games. And it's not Dameon Pierce, the backup running back. It's not John Metchie, the 5th or 6th receiver. It's something else that I think a lot of fans might have actually gotten annoyed by. But I actually think it was really, really big. And I might not have articulated the question as well as I could have with DeMeco afterwards, but we'll get to that. But sometimes it be like that. Let's hear from Brevin Jordan. Brevin Jordan was out on the field. We've seen Brevin Jordan kind of miss some time recently. We saw him make a couple plays. I asked Brevin Jordan after the game about how he feels, and it's safe to say that like you, like me, he's ready for them damn Colts. Here's Brevin Jordan with me after the game.
I missed the last 2 weeks trying to get my body right, you know what I'm saying? So just little errors, little stuff, you know, trying to just get my feet wet, you know, obviously. But feel good, man. I mean, I got a lot to improve on. For me, you know, I made 2 catches, obviously, but that holding call, like shit like that, man, I can't do, you know what I'm saying? So just clean up the technique. That's why we have preseason.
You're you're a vet now. For media type like me, I'll be honest, I look at the last preseason game, I'm like, damn, that's a big-ass gap between the start of the season. Do you kind of start to feel that way a little? Are you ready for Indy already?
I'm ready for Indy, man, for sure, man. Bobby said it to me today, actually. He was like, man, I can't wait for week 1. Like, just hyped, you know what I'm saying? Just ready, you know, because once the starters went out, it was like, all right, we got to support the guys, but you feel me? Like, everybody want to play. Everybody want to be out there. So right now, we just looking forward to just stacking brick by brick, day by day. Then when the Indy comes, we'll be ready for them.
Looked like you got the first on that one, by the way. They marked you a yard short. I thought you got
I thought I got the first 2, but it's whatever. It's preseason.
But the body's good. You're feeling good?
Body's good. Mind's good. Everything's good, man. I'm ready for week 1.
All right. Appreciate you, man.
All right, there you go. It's Brevin Jordan after the game. He had some interesting stuff to say, and I think it's safe to say he's ready to go. He's safe. He's good. But if you were concerned about his health, I don't think you need to be. I think you should feel just fine. Another guy who we got to look at, because we didn't see Laramie Tunsil and we did not see Joe Mixon, Blake Fisher at left tackle. He started the game off with a false start. I looked over to my left in the press box, Cody Stutes. I said, damn, he's filling in very nicely for Laramie Tunsil. He's filling in very nicely. All right. Maybe a little bit too much. Let's hear what he had to say about the false start and how he performed. This was Blake Fisher after the game with your boy.
When I came in at left tackle and, you know, them just giving me the opportunity here to be able to play both. I think, you know, the work that I get in practice against, you know, Danielle, Will, DB, a lot of, you know, other really good rushers, I think it just helps me to, you know, critique and, you know, make my skills better every day. So it's a great opportunity too.
All right. The craziest thing about Blake Fisher for me, I mean, he just looks like a kid, man. And I mean, these are young men. But I mean, he's only going to get bigger. Just look at Kenyon Green now compared to what he was. And Blake Fisher's already looking like a guy that you'll feel comfortable starting at the most important position. Here's him on that on the actual false start. That was him on going back and forth between left and right.
I got to be better there. That's not acceptable at all. But you know, I felt all right. You know, there's a couple plays that, you know, I won back. Kind of first time going up against you know, elite pass rusher. So it felt good. It was good to get some. I got to be better there.
All right, there you go. Shout out to Blake Fisher. He did his thing. So we'll get to some of the comments. We'll hear from DeMeco in a sec, and we'll see what happens with John Metchie. And he, if you want to see someone blow up the message board, it's going to be John Metchie is 100% the guy that's going to do that. It's a polarizing topic. It's a polarizing topic. It's the most polarizing topic. Dameon Pierce right now, it seems like it's kind of unified. That people kind of feel like Dameon Pierce it just might not be a good fit for him, regardless of what the fit is. Space City Baller says trade DP for a 5th round pick. Damn, I mean, Do you think you can get a 5th for Dameon Pierce right now? A guy that was unplayable last year and a guy who doesn't look very good right now, and a guy who had, I think, 12 carries or more, I think 7 times at Florida. You think you're going to get a 5th? I mean, if you're going to get a 5th, you should be thrilled about that. I just don't know about getting a 5th. Lewis says Dameon Pierce is not a one-cut back. He doesn't do what is needed in the zone blocking scheme. He's not trash. He's just not a fit. And he doesn't have the vision the offense requires. Well, here's the thing. And I think this is where we kind of get semantic. In this situation, like maybe he is trash. Like maybe in this system, he is trash. So I think that a lot of people come in here and they say, you know, Dameon Pierce stinks and Dameon Pierce sucks. And based on his performance running the football the last year, I think it's fair to say he has stunk running the ball. Then you get the other side of folks that are like, well, he doesn't stink. He just doesn't. I think all that a lot of people care about is how you are here. I don't think people are sitting here saying he's going to be on the Houston XFL team. I think people evaluate, mainly in here, they evaluate players based on how they fit here, not how they fit anywhere else. So when someone says Dameon Pierce stinks, I don't want to speak for y'all because this is an open forum. I believe you're probably just saying, all I care about is, can you perform here? And he stinks here. So I think it's a little bit of semantics. The issue with Dameon is everyone else looks good like everyone. I don't disagree with you. And the thing is, I almost wonder, is it just the system? Is it just a system thing? He did get hurt at the end of year one. It was a bad football team. And it was an interesting layout with how he did his rookie season. Like, do you think Dameon Pierce is going to run for 900 yards? Like, even in an ideal situation, let's say the Cowboys right now, they have Zeke Elliott as their number 1 running back. If the Dallas Cowboys just come out and they say, all right, we'll give you a 7th round pick and I don't know, a safety or linebacker or D lineman on the back end of our roster for Dameon Pierce, and they just commit to Dameon Pierce, do you think he's getting 900 plus yards? I don't know. I don't buy he's not running behind the starters, because he was running behind the starters last year and struggling. And he looked worse than Devin Singletary, who, by the way, Devin Singletary, touchdown. Welcome back, sir. Welcome back to you very much. So we'll see. Good grief, Texans talk. Shout out to you, my friend. Thank you very much for the super. Much, 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 much appreciated. I think DP to the Cowboys makes a lot of sense. Their GM said they're all in, and realistically, we could get a 6th or 7th. Yeah, I agree. They're not pleased with the running back position at all there, and maybe they're not running this scheme, so maybe they could figure out something with Dameon Pierce. I'm with you. I think it would be a good fit. I know this. Any running back on the market, they're going to be looking at, and I think Dameon Pierce would be a good fit for what they bring. So yeah, I would be okay with that. Shout out to Sean. Always good seeing you, man. Although when you're looking at me like that sideways, brother, no, I'm just kidding. Sean's good, dude. He's always in here. I'm slightly concerned about cornerback depth. I like the group with Sting, Lassiter, Okudah, Henderson, except all of them except Lassiter are super injury prone. Yeah, I like Lassiter a lot, and that's kind of the guy I was watching today. It is funny, like on a team that spats up more than any other squad, my man's out there without gloves, and he's just out there all business. I could see you being concerned about cornerback depth. I don't know where King fits in. I don't know what they think of Des King. Last year, I kind of got surprised with what went down with Des King. You can't play. Number 4 does not need to step on the field anymore. It's almost rough when Mike Ford's out there. It's getting almost sad how much we've seen Mike Ford getting burned Chris Boyd, I don't think you're going to see him out there. I'm not too concerned about it, but the thing about being concerned about cornerback depth on this team is that it sucks, but you got to assume that Stingley is going to miss a little bit of time. Like if he doesn't, then you're talking about an all-pro caliber player, and we all know that. But I mean, you have to go with what you've seen for a large chunk. So even if it's just a couple of games, you kind of assume that there's that. Jim Hughes says, I'm over the DP talks. Some many more interesting topics on this team. All right, give me the topic, brother. I want to hear Jim's rundown. Give me a rundown real quick in there. I'm really asking you, like, give me like topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, topic 4, topic 5 at this point in the preseason, because there were two A topics for me. And it was Metchie, how is he going to react, and what is the running back situation going to look like? So those are the two topics to me. And I don't look, I'm not one of these people who like lays out how long they've been doing something or whatever, but I want to know what is more interesting or more relevant, I should say, in the preseason when we see the starters play for a max of 1 quarter. What matters more than Dameon Pierce? I'm ready for the rundown. I really want to see it. Jim, we might actually have to just roll with that. Every team has injury concerns. It's just football. Yeah, but Stingley's a little bit different. Those injury concerns have been around for a while. How many receivers do you think we're going to keep? Do you think we'll keep a fullback, since we're lined up with a fullback 29% of the time? I mean, I think they're going to keep Beck, I would think. But am I 100% confident in that? No, I'm not. I would think, though. But he's been kind of in and out, so it's been there. We need to cut number 19, Xavier Hutchinson, you're saying. Okay. I would rather cut Robert Woods and Ben Skoranek than to cut Metchie. Okay. I don't know where Woods fits in. It's kind of a little bit there. Forever broken records. Why don't we go back to the 22 running scheme for DP? How does that work? So let me lay this out for me. So you run the Gary Kubiak / Bobby Slowick scheme when you have Joe Mixon, Dare Ogunbowale, or Akers in. And Joe Mixon's your better running back, and he's had some success in this scheme. And then what happens? Like, does Bobby Slowick tag in Tim Kelly and say, go get him? Or does he tag in Pep Hamilton? Hey, Pep, go in there, call plays. And then do they just slap all 5 offensive linemen on the ass and say, hey, I know that the majority of the time we run a certain way and we have this scheme that our coach has. Let's change it up for Dameon Pierce and let's change the way we do things. Is that how that works? I don't know. I don't even know how that would look. I don't know what you're saying. And why would you change what you do for Dameon Pierce? That doesn't make sense, man. That doesn't make sense at all. They should just cooperate 22 running ideas. Why? When you have Joe Mixon. Man. All right. Let's hear from DeMeco Ryans. DeMeco Ryans met with the media. Let's hear what DeMeco had to say right after the game.
And how do you think would describe the way you played? And does this make it even tougher, your decisions on receivers?
For Metchie, I think he did a really, really nice job today. Just catching the football, making some big time plays for us, and it's exciting to see Metchie make those plays. I think nobody's more fired up than all of his teammates. You see the other receivers and to see their genuine excitement for him when he makes those plays, and just the entire team as a whole, is pulling for him to do well, and he did a really nice job today. And that's why I think you play the preseason games. That's why you have training camp practices, is to see guys continue to grow, get better, and shine when the opportunity comes. And Metchie had a really nice day today.
Coach, were you surprised about what you seen from the first team offensive unit, especially with CJ doing what he did on that first drive?
For our offense, I talked about before we went out, just us starting fast, like having a fast start, just playing efficient. And I think they did a really nice job of that, getting the ball around everyone. Everybody touched the ball. It was good to see different guys get their hands on it. And our guys made plays. And we have a lot of playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. So a lot of people to distribute to, which is a good thing. I thought our guys played really well together, and I was excited with what our first offense did.
Jalen Pitre reacting to the throw from Daniel Jones and looking a couple of nickel, and then just Derek Stingley, kind of a continuation of what he did last year.
And defensively, one thing we harp on is attacking the football, and for us to go out today and take the ball away 5 times, that's big time. Anytime you can do that, you're gonna win the football game. So it was exciting to see, Pitre and Stingley. Max Tooley. Who else we had? Neville, Solomon Bird. It was exciting to see so many different guys attack the football in different facets, whether it's intercepting the football, right, strip sack, or just taking the ball away from the back there. It's just, that's what we talk about it so much, and actually see it come to life. It's confirmation for us and our coaching points and what we ask guys to do. It's just fun. For me, I just love seeing the reactions from everyone on the sideline going crazy when we take the football away.
You ain't never had
Swarm.
The field, the organization honored Jacoby Jones. To see his family out there and just being a former teammate and a friend, what was that moment like for you?
Hey, it's a tough moment. You see, such a young guy, former teammate, to be so young, and losing a guy at such a young age is tough. To see his picture up there and to be honoring him in this moment. But our hearts, prayers, they still go out to Miss Emily and Jacoby Jr. just on that loss. It's a tough one to handle. For me, especially anytime you lose a teammate there and a guy who's so full of life, right? Guy who always had a smile on his face, always lit up a room, dancing, joking, whatever it was. So you miss that fun-spirited guy, and but no one misses him more than his family, his mother and his son. So, our prayers are with them. I'm happy that our organization was able to honor him in that way and give his family, that respect and honor today.
At the end of the game, you had the challenge kind of ices.
All right, I asked this question. I want to
Is there any way
follow
to
up on that.
practice that not in a preseason game? Because some people see a challenge at the end of the game or timeouts, and they're like, "Oh, it's preseason." Is there any way for a coach to even practice that outside of the preseason game?
For us, every time you line up, it's not practice. I take these games, serious. They're real games. Anytime our guys are going out, they're putting their bodies on the line. So it's no practice or taking it lightly. Anytime we step out, we want to win. And, it's a lot of people working with their eyes in the right place to make sure we make the right decisions when we can. So I had the opportunity to challenge there, and a lot of people saw it from the sideline, and they were correct.
My main thing on that is, and it's not about don't try, because I think that DeMeco's not built like that. But my main point in asking that is, like, a running back in practice, you can practice 3rd and 1. You can practice catching a screen. You can practice pass blocking. You can practice a lot of things. When you're DeMeco Ryans and you're a head coach who's looking at everything, and you're looking at it from the offensive point of view and the defensive point of view, and he's not like the traditional defensive coach who's just with the defense the whole time. He's all over the place. I don't feel like you can duplicate the rep of, in a game, watching like he did, and whoever else is in charge of the process being with him, and challenging and throwing the red flag on the field. Because in a real game, that ices the football game. You win because of that. Because at that point, there's 7 minutes left. It's a 2-possession game. If the Giants score, then maybe it becomes interesting. But a challenge there that reverses a call and you get the ball in their territory and you ended up getting the touchdown from Brooks, his second. And we'll get into Brooks. People are asking about Brooks. We'll get into him on the back end. I don't think you can duplicate that rep. I don't think it can even be like, I don't even know what you can do in practice to duplicate it. So I thought it was a valuable rep. I think it's very encouraging to see a head coach and his support staff being able to pull that up. Some would say Adam Spillane, I know, was upset. He's like, it's preseason. None of these guys are starters. But I don't think you can practice this. I don't think you can do it. Take it away, Coach.
Coach, the offense was able to get some good reps from J.J. Taylor, Cam Akers, Brooks, the rookies Brooks and Jordan. Will their performances change the outlook on how the running back room and the depth chart will look once Joe Mixon comes back?
The backs did a great job today. It doesn't change. It's still tight competition there in the running back room, and we're excited to see more. All right, continue to see these guys next week. We have the Rams coming in, join Price, so it'll be exciting to see them compete, exciting to see them play in the game next week as well. So the competition continues to press forward.
Coach, in the first quarter, you were watching the consistency of Dalton Schultz and CJ. Based on what you've seen from last year to this year, how does their relationship continue to grow and just the value of having a tight end that can consistently get open on third down?
Dalton is a reliable, trustworthy player. So he finds a way to get open, especially third down. He has really great hands, right? So he's always in between the hashes right there. He's able to make a play and he's available for CJ to get the ball to him. So Dalton has done that his entire career. He's been a consistent player, and he's done a good job for us since he's been here. And I think CJ sees that, and he knows that he's a reliable target.
Coach, today we saw a little bit more from Jalen Pitre out there with the interception. How comfortable do you think Jalen Pitre is feeling this season?
Jalen's done a great job. That's who Jalen has been since I first got here. Jalen brings great energy. He's one of our smartest football players on our team. He's a leader. He's everything you want, in a player. And he brings it all. So, and I'm fired up to continue to see him get more, make more plays. Like he's fun to watch. He's exciting. He provides energy to our entire team. So Jalen has done an outstanding job.
Evaluate what you see from the first team rushing when you're missing a key player like Laramie Tunsil. I know the stats don't always tell the whole story. So how do you look at that?
We ran the ball really well today. I think our offensive line did a great job of. When we look at the preseason, whoever's out there, that's the evaluation, right? We can't evaluate guys who aren't out there, but overall, the way our offensive line ran off the ball, the way they moved people and created lanes for our backs. Like you run the ball as a team, right? O-line, everybody knows O-line, but it's how your receivers are blocking. Are we finishing attached to the defenders and finishing the play? And we did a good job of that today.
Last one.
Karen Sorter from the Forward Times. Ryans, what made you decide to go for it on 4th and goal in the first quarter? And what did you see on that fourth quarter play that you challenged that set up the second touchdown?
Going for it early there, I mean, I didn't need to see Amy kick the chip shot there. I wanted our offense to punch the ball in. That's why I went for it there. And let's see if we can execute there in the red zone and make a play. That's why I went for it there. Offense did a great job of pushing the ball downfield, having a really successful drive, and I wanted to finish right in the end zone there. That's why I went for it. Thanks, Coach. All right, thank you, guys.
All right, there you go. That's DeMeco Ryans, the man, the myth, the legend. We'll hear from CJ Stroud in a sec. We're going to recap the game. First, I want to give some love to a guy that's he's in here quite often, man. My man, Rick. This whole game was fun to watch. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's the attitude I like because football is back. Preseason, these nuts, man. That is what I like.
These nuts.
Preseason.
These nuts.
Thank you. I enjoyed watching the game myself. I think we're learning a lot. I'm very much enjoying this. H-Town TD 2000. He cuts to the front. He has super chatting. Thank you very much, my friend.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm. If the game showed us anything, it's DP is not the number 2 running back. Akers, Brooks, JJ all stepped up. 4 rushes with 5 yards. DP, keep up the great work, Landry. We appreciate what you do. I appreciate you, my friend. Look, David Pierce is a good dude. This is not – they need to run the ball. This is not Little League. This is not Pee Wee. Hell, this is not the 2022 Texans. This isn't the 2022 Texans. 2022 Texans, you can be a bad football team and you can learn about guys. This ain't that. John Metchie was probably on the outside looking in before this game. He needed this game. Now, did it save him? Does it make John Metchie a lock? I don't know. We'll get into that as we do the recap. We'll also hear what CJ had to say about him. I know he was asked about him. But he's got to do better. Might not fit the system, might not. But yes, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Let's go through the actual game itself. Appreciate everyone for coming through again. Be sure to subscribe, like, right along. Swarm that like button. Swarm right to it. It's become a thing, and now it is officially a banner. Swarm the like button. We're going to cover all ground. If you've ever gone through a game recap with me, you know it's not just going to be reading the box score, because there's some random ass stuff that crosses my mind, and I like to present it to y'all for better or for worse. Keep the comments coming through. Appreciate all the soups. British Brooks, man, we'll get to British Brooks. Any news why Hunter didn't play? They don't need to see him. I think it's that simple. We saw Barnett go in there and force the pick 6, which we'll get into us in a second. They don't need to see Danielle Hunter. Danielle Hunter is a badass. Danielle Hunter's ready to go. They don't need to see him. That's why. They don't need to worry about it. Same thing with Joe Mixon. If this were a regular season game, you would have seen Joe Mixon and you would have seen Danielle Hunter. They don't need to see Danielle Hunter. They know what's up with him. So I didn't see him on the sidelines. If I were him, I'd be rocking a sleeveless or a tank top. You can't say wife beater anymore. I mean, come on, man. It's not that serious, but that's what I'd be. If I were that jacked, that's what I'm rocking. I'm wearing that to church if I'm Danielle Hunter and I'm that jacked. Oh my gosh. The British is coming. Goodness gracious. Could be worse. Cody Stutes hummed the British Bulldogs theme music when he scored touchdowns today, which is 100 times worse than that. But my gosh, I love cheese. I don't know about all that. All right, so initial thoughts. The home uniforms. I've been a critic of the home uniforms. I just don't love them. They look the same. From where I'm at in the press box, they look the same. I know there's attention to detail. If I were buying them, maybe I would think it was different. I think this team can make any uniforms look good. I'm not in love with the home uniforms. I'm in love with the squad. I'm in love with the roster. I think Tank Dell, Nico Collins, CJ Stroud, all these guys can make any uniform look good. It looks, from where I'm at and from where a lot of people are sitting, it looks like the exact same uniforms that they've always had at home. So when I heard new uniforms, I thought new uniforms. I see them on the road. I see them in the alternates. I just don't see them at home. So I have not changed my thoughts on these home uniforms. No Mixon, no Tunsil. So that's kind of how it started. Before the game, we had the honoring of Jacoby Jones, his former teammates, his family. They went out there. Nice little PA announcement of honoring Jacoby from one of the best PA announcers in the game. And it was a nice moment. Now the crowd, I think anyone who asked a Texans player this week, what's it going to be like to play in front of the fans? I think they should maybe get their question back, because there weren't very many fans. But you know what? It was a nice reminder of what the stadium looked like in 2021 and 2022. And I'm being fair, because most stadiums aren't full during the preseason. It's you don't see a lot of sellouts, and if it's sold out, you don't see the majority of the seats full. But I looked around and I saw this crowd, and I was like, you know what? This might be a good crowd in the David Culley or Lovie Smith era. So not a ton of fans in the stands, a little bit bare, but who cares? As for the game itself, the first drive, Texans, you just heard DeMeco talk about it. The Texans get inside the 10. They decide to go for it. Now, if you took the Texans -3 like I did, you were kind of like, okay, I don't mind DeMeco getting this rep, but I had no problem with it. They come up short. They don't get the job done, and they don't complete the fade to Schultz. But by the way, we are 3-0 on our preseason bets, and we're now up on our BetUS account, $2,283.97. Started out with 2,000. So if you've just been piggybacking me, then you're up 283.97. I might make a bet tonight just because I'm feeling a little bit crazy. So we'll do that at the end. We'll get the bet in. I'll pull up the screen. But on the first drive, CJ Stroud, 6 of 8, 57 yards. And he looked good, man. He looked really, really good. They could have set him out after that drive, and I would have been completely fine. They did not do that. They put him out there for the beginning of drive number 2, but he looked pretty good. The one problem I did have on that drive, and maybe this is just maybe there's some give or take here, and maybe this is a little bit telling, but I get running the offense the way you're going to run it in the regular season, especially when you're talking about CJ Stroud and getting the rhythm and all that. And you saw him have the nice play to Nico, and you saw him have the nice play to Diggs and Schultz and Brevin Jordan. On the 3rd and 2 near midfield, I kind of wanted to see if Dameon Pierce would be able to pick up the 2 yards, just for like an evaluation standpoint, just to see if maybe in tough yardage situations, if Dameon Pierce would be capable of doing that. Now, is it the end of the world? Have they already made up their mind? I don't know. But just me looking, I was like, all right, let's just hand it to Pierce and see what he can do. They didn't do it. And CJ Stroud threw a dart to Stephon Diggs on a slant, one of his better throws of the game. There's probably a handful of guys that can make that throw. So there you go. Next Giants possession, Jalen Pitre. Jalen Pitre playing close to the line of scrimmage, pick 6 on the Barnett pressure. Could I interest you in a stat when it comes to Jalen Pitre? That it had been 692 days since Petre's last interception in a live game. That was the game in 2022 where the Texans lost to the Bears. Remember the Davis Mills interception at the end, I believe there was a Mills interception. Jalen Pitre intercepted Justin Fields twice in that game. No interceptions last year. That was the last time Jalen Pitre in a Texans uniform had an interception in an in-game situation. So it had been 692 days, which is about a year and 10 months. Pitre back in the mix on the next Giants possession. He had the TFL, and then he was kind of a doggy style victim where, that right tackle just jumped on him and took him to the ground. They didn't call it. And the Giants picked up the first down, but he was all in the backfield. Jalen Pitre also had a nice tackle on the sideline as well. And now the attention kind of shifts to Eric Murray, where you're kind of wondering, okay, you feel good about Pitre in this role. At least you've had like a visual in a game of what it looks like. What's it going to look like with Eric Murray at starting safety? That's kind of where the attention shifts. Then the Giants, they get the rock back. Daniel Jones, a little bit all over the place. Daniel Jones throws an interception to Derek Stingley. And after that, his night is done. Derek Stingley's, and the entire Texans starting defense is done. And I thought that was interesting. Daniel Jones against Texans starting defense, he was 2 of 6 with 14 yards. Against the backups, I think he was like 9 of 11 for 130 or something like that. I actually tweeted it out. Daniel Jones was terrible. And if I were a Giants fan, I would have never wanted them to give him that contract. And they are just postponing the inevitable. That dude is absolutely terrible. And he needed Ford and Chris Boyd out there to look like a competent NFL quarterback. But if the Texans starters had played in this whole game, like the whole game, and Daniel Jones, I mean, we're talking about a 5 interception performance at least. He was terrible. But that was a night. Derek Stingley easily could have picked off the first throw of the game as well, and taken that to the house. Next possession, CJ Stroud and the Texans. The momentum of Derek Stingley. They say that he was down at the 1. They didn't give him the touchback. They end up on the 1 yard line. CJ Stroud in the end zone, just an absolute nice toss, nice patience in the pocket to Dalton Schultz, 26 yards. Very next play, looks at the sideline, just floats it over the top to Tank Dell. Beautiful. However, holding on Brevin Jordan. So in the words of Juvenile, back that ass up. And then after that, the clock expires and we get Case Keenum coming in for CJ Stroud to start the second quarter. Kind of interesting. Davis Mills was in uniform. He had his cap on, but it was Keenum and Boyle that were the backup quarterbacks that got on the field, and they were the guys warming up while CJ was out there. So who knows what's up with Davis Mills? Is Davis Mills hurt? Don't know. Everybody was talking about Minnesota. Hell, the Giants might have wanted to take Davis Mills with them on the plane. I mean, after looking at Daniel Jones, they didn't know. But we don't know what's up with Davis Mills. Just know that he didn't play. Familiar face and a familiar trend. Dameon Pierce, 4 carries for 5 yards. And despite not even being on his team anymore, Devin Singletary outshines Dameon Pierce. Touchdown to make it 7-7. He does his little hop, skip, and jump. That had to feel good for him. It was nice covering Devin Singletary last year. And it was nice seeing him get in the end zone, especially in a preseason game. And then this is where the money drive happens. This is where it gets crazy. This is where it gets really, 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 really fun and crazy because business picks up on the third drive. Question number 1 in this game was, what will the backup running backs look like? Well, Cam Akers looked good. British Brooks looked pretty good. Everyone else looked pretty good. And Dameon Pierce had a meh game. Akers really set it off. Couple of runs. He immediately had the longest run of the game. I think it was like 4 yards on first down. And then he had a cutback 14-yard run that looked like something he would have done pre-Achilles 1 and 2. It's apparent that he's more effective than Dameon Pierce at this point. I don't even think that's a question. Then we had John Metchie. He moved the chains. He had 3 catches for 37 yards. The first one, it was kind of an out route from Case Keenum. He was actually open, it appeared, from my view, on the one that Keenum threw to Hutchinson behind him. But Metchie, 3 catches, 37 yards on this drive. He gets a touchdown. Texans make it 14-7. Then we had this. This might be something to look at moving forward. The sun was kind of a factor. Now, I know the Texans sent that graphic. It seemed a little bit sunnier today than maybe that graphic had looked, because there was a play by the Giants at the end of the first half, and y'all probably remember it, especially if you were watching closely, where it was kind of clear that the sun got in the guy's eyes. And there were a couple of plays where it appeared that that might be a factor. So it was very cool that the Texans put that video out, but it gets hotter and hotter in Texas. Look out for this sun, because we don't know when the roof is going to get fixed. I know there's stadiums around the NFL where the sun can be a factor. The sun was a factor at the end of the first half. And it's one thing in a preseason game, but in a real game, that could get a lot of attention. But it was definitely a thing. But that third drive, that's really what we're going to look at, and that's really what matters most. Into the first half, the Giants, they make it 14-10. They get a field goal, a nice little catch, a couple of nice catches by Giants receivers, but it was against Texans reserves. And as I mentioned the stat, Daniel Jones against the Texans starters, 2 for 6, 14 yards, 2 interceptions. He sucked. He wasn't good. And I mean, that's not really that shocking. It is the Locker Room, number one source for Texans digital content. It is a post-game show, which is always the most fun time. 400 deep right now. It's only going to get bigger during the regular season. It's only going to get more fun. Let's go to a few comments before we get here. Did Metchie prove himself? He did what he needed to do, and he proved that he was capable of producing in a game. And that's all that DeMeco Ryans said he needed to see. He helped himself. Regardless of what you think about John Metchie, regardless of whether you think he's going to be on the team or not, he helped himself. So he did. I would say yes. The answer to your question is yes. He proved himself because he proved that he could produce in a game. So he did his thing. Lassiter might be the top corner in his first year. Yeah, I think that's a little bit crazy. I think Stingley, CB1. We need to hope someone releases a really good running back. Dameon Pierce is terrible. I don't know how many really good running backs are going to get released. This whole game was fun to watch. I already talked about that with Rick. Mr. High, tell us what you thought about British Brooks when you get around to it. I think he's going to be a good project type of running back. That's what I think about him. All right, so let's get to the second half of the game. Really, really long, drug out third quarter. I mean, it was a long quarter. And it seemed like we were on a good pace, and then it kind of started dragging. But the start of the fourth, British Brooks with the touchdown, he was running pretty hard up the middle, pause, and then did it again, got the touchdown. And then we had a Lonnie Johnson sighting, and DeMeco Ryans nearly lost his mind when they forced that turnover.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm. Lonnie Johnson with the strip. Someone asked, is Lonnie Johnson going to make the team? I don't know. Special teams, I don't know. I don't know whether Lonnie does or not. But it was nice to see him get a strip. And then in the fourth quarter, thought this was big. I don't care what anyone says. You're up 2 possessions, and there's a fumble that the Texans recovered. The refs, as they've been known to do, they miss it, and they give the ball back to the Giants. All of a sudden, you look out there, there's a red flag on the field. DeMeco Ryans challenges it. It gets reversed. It ices the game. Texans win. And this is not something that I think that you can duplicate, but this is something that can cost you a game or win you a game, a big game. And by not duplicate, I don't think you can practice this in practice. I think that the in-game rep of being able to throw a challenge, I don't think it's something that should be minimized. And especially given the fact that it's not just one guy that's doing it. There's other guys that DeMeco probably leans on to make this happen. And when you're able to do that to ice a game, that's a mental rep. There's times where you go through a mental rep, whatever it is, where it's not the big time, but that experience that you get in that situation allows you to make that decision or execute that task whenever you're in the situation. And DeMeco Ryans did it. And it's not the first time he's done it this preseason. He took away a hell of a catch from Colin Johnson in the Hall of Fame game too. And that's good to see. I mean, we've seen some coaches that are terrible at challenges. Challenges can win you games. They can lose you games. You miss that, and then all of a sudden the Giants score and it's a close game. Oh, no. So good job by DeMeco. I thought that was big. I thought that was perhaps the most encouraging thing I've seen is that whatever the hell the process is, whoever the hell is responsible for it, DeMeco's the one that's going to get the credit and the blame because he's the one with the flag in his pocket or his sock, wherever the hell he keeps it. But I think that's an encouraging thing to see your head coach doing that. And right after that, you had the British Brooks touchdown that made it 28-10, and the Texans never really looked back. In fact, another forced turnover, more swarming.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm. Solomon Byrd sighting, the 7th round pick out of USC. He had the strip sack. I anticipate him probably being a practice squad guy. He did his thing and he got the strip. So I think nobody's talking about except me. I don't know if that's ever a great thing, but DeMeco's challenge. And he's been really good at challenges, and you need coaches to do that. So I give him credit. Let's hear from the quarterback, though. CJ Stroud, face of the franchise, the king of the podium, the man in the arena. See what CJ Stroud had to say after preseason game 3.
On the sideline, he makes a good play. Talk about his performance today, please.
Yeah, first and foremost, just want to give all glory and praise to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Metchie has been working really hard. He's a great friend of mine, somebody who I have a lot of love for, and it's just exciting to see him and him able to put all his talents and things on display. So, I'm really excited for him. I think he's going to be a great addition to our team, and be able to have him fully healthy and feeling back in football shape. So, I'm very excited for him, and it's only just beginning for him.
CJ, down on the goal line, what is that? 7 trips, brother, inside the red zone in that first drive, getting down there, I do believe. Not necessarily schematically, what would you have done different, but like the mindset coming out of there, knowing what things have been executed differently regular season versus being a preseason game, and how you feeling about those 7 trips and the money down and coming up empty, so to speak?
It's preseason, we don't game plan that. We're just running our base stuff. So, just take care of the football, and sometimes they present themselves, sometimes they don't.
CJ, can you talk about the reliability from Dalton Schultz and how he has helped this offense? You got a lot of different weapons. Stephon called the pass. Nico, John Metchie was out there shining. But with Dalton Schultz, how does his reliability help this offense kind of level everything out?
Dalton is a vet's vet, he's somebody who comes in here and works hard every day. But not only just on the field is he, a mismatch and somebody who can create separation and do a lot of great things, but also he's just a great leader. Leads a lot of those young guys, helps Brev, Cade, DK, Troy, all them boys, along with Beck and stuff too. So, that room is just, willing to do anything for the team. And, Dalton is at the forefront of that.
CJ, when you look at a guy like Cam Akers, who's been in the league and had a couple of injury issues that have kept him out, but being a part of this offense, where have you seen him grow since the second year right here?
He already kind of came nice, that's just, he's been playing at a high level since I can remember and watching in college, so it's nothing that he changed. And he just, I think he's a little more focused now and just, knows what he needs to do to get on the team. And then he's been working from there. So, his foundational work, I think, has been great in this offense. He's been in this type of style. So, he's going to continue to do great. And, I'm really, loving his game and how patient he is, but he hits the hole at the same time. So, he's a great back.
I hadn't had the opportunity to go back and look at the film yet, but do you think the fact that you all have so many weapons on the outside really could open up things for the tight ends a little bit more in this offense?
It opens up for everybody, so there's if you open, you get the ball, it's kind of just how football is. And, it's up to my job to spread it and, to throw it to the guys who are open. And I think all 5 positions, skill positions, do a good job of all that. Like Joe will be great in that, and Dalton and Brev, and all the receivers too. So.
Hey, CJ, kind of following up on talking about Cam Akers, can you talk about just the running game and how you saw it today and having so many young guys contributing, how it's going to help the offense overall whenever you guys settle on that room?
Yeah, the run game is very important. We know that we're working on it very hard every day. So, starts up front, and those guys are buying into that system, and then the backs are doing their job as well. I think Jawar and British had 2 great games today, along with Cam and JJ and DP. So, once that room gets rolling, and it's a good connection between them and the O-line and where they cut back and hit the hole, like just all the little nuances, I think that's when we'll start rolling.
I'm going to piggyback off the offensive line. No Larry Tunsil today, but Tyus Howard back out there, Shaq Mason back out there. What were you seeing from your offensive line to give you confidence going into the regular season?
Yeah, they did a really good job of just, giving me time. And I know that, they got my back thick and thin. So, it's just more than just ball. It's just a trust factor that I have with those guys. And that's a great D-line over there. Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns and Kayvon, all are great players. So, they have their hands full, but I think we didn't give up any sacks today. And we only played our starters in the first quarter. So, for our second guys to go in there and do well too, that just shows the work they've been putting in. All right, y'all.
All right, there you go. It's the man, CJ Stroud. Looking sharp today. Looking really, really sharp. And they're ready for the regular season. Let's be honest. We're ready for the regular season. But we do have a lot to talk about. We got a lot of stuff to get into. We'll have the highlight reaction tomorrow. Be sure to swarm that like button. Be sure to subscribe. We're 400 plus deep. It's only going to get bigger and bigger. Let's reset the takeaways before we get out of here. Appreciate everyone for coming through once again. Cap Insano said it was nice to see Jimmy Ward make a hard hit and not get injured. Yeah, let me give Jimmy Ward some props. I didn't mention it, but on the first drive, he had the hit on second down, and then he had the hit on the sidelines where it looked like maybe the receiver could have caught it. Don't know, but Jimmy made the hit. So, yeah, Jimmy was all over the place. So shout out to him for doing his thing. Yeah, they're so ready. They are ready for the regular season. These guys are really, really ready for the regular season. There's no doubt. And I think most of us are. Takeaway 1, CJ Stroud looked awesome. Takeaway 2, Pitre, in his new role, he shined. We actually got to see it in a game. Takeaway 3, Akers is better than Pierce. We gotta acknowledge that. We gotta admit it. Takeaway 4, Metchie shows he can play well in a game. And then 2 bonus takeaways. The third Texans drive in the third preseason game, it was sponsored by Radio Shack because we had questions, may have gotten some answers. All right. Yeah. It's time for me to go. Also, DeMeco Ryans and the challenges. I don't think that gets enough attention. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Be sure to ride along. Before I get out of here, though, we're 3-0 in preseason bets. If you joined the stream and you've been piggybacking off of me, we are 3-0 in the bets. BetUS has been very good to me. Started out with 2,000, 2 GER for the whole season. If I lose all 2 GER, then I don't know if I can go home. But if I keep winning the way I'm winning, and we're 3-0, and that 2,000, you see that total right there. It's turned into 2,283.97. I'm feeling a little bit crazy. So I think tonight, I think we should enjoy ourselves. I think we should bet on a preseason game. I'm looking at that 10 p.m. It's a late night. Let's make it a late night. Cowboys versus the Las Vegas Raiders. +7, -7. You got a couple of quarterback battles, and you got Trey Lance out there. I am going to, in this game, I am going to take the under. Never fun to bet an under, but I am going to take the under, and I am going to put $200 on it. $200 on the under. You can go to BetUS. You can get in the game. Go back to my video from last night. There's a link. Click the link. You can get +125% back, or the bonus 125%. So if you put in 10, then you're going to get $20 plus in there. And I'm on fire right now, and I'm probably going to lose because betting an under is bad karma, but who cares? Always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together, no matter what, whether we win, whether we lose. We're 3 weeks away from the regular season, and better times are ahead. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Thank you very much.
We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localized every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got take